Hey guys, it's Amy with MotorCityNerds. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love all your comments. Whoever left the comment about it might be the ice shoes with the Annie K wounds. I was like, oh my god, that is so smart, because I thought like a pickaxe. If you could like the video, it would really help me out. I just am sorry this is so long and I want to get this out quick. This is editing Abby, by the way. The video's about to change up in a sec. We think women are running everything. We know who Rose is. We're pretty positive. You can check out the live streams for everything else. We called Hank. We called Connelly. And we called Pete. I'm telling you, I explain exactly why Pete's not going to be bad. And Rose is not the big bad in charge either. But we do think it's being ran by women, and that way it's a total flip from all the other seasons where we're looking for these predatory men, but really there's a bunch of Ghislaine Maxwell's, like Leah's little creepy girlfriend, getting her in. Nicole was onto something with the frequency. It's not supernatural, or maybe it is. Rust Cole sees the goddamn galaxy open up, and we don't know if that's really there or not. It happens throughout the show. But no, I talk about all the supernatural stuff, I talk about all that, I talk about everything here, but the last 10 minutes of this are every connection from season 1 to season 4. I kid you not, I connected it all, and to the mind, using biblical shit. And if you were on the live streams or anything else, you know how funny that is. I also said that in the very opening of my very first review of this very first episode of the season. I went, wow, those caribou running off the edge are awfully like Jesus running the pigs over the cliff and running evil and running a demon out of somebody. And now this happens. Like I said, it does. It correlates. But if you guys just want to watch that, I'm going to post that separately also on top of on the end of this, because it explains why I think Danvers will be the one to die, and possibly her and Navarro. But Pete's going to make it. Now, I'm just going to let you guys get into it because I'm taking up enough of your time. My theory still stands. I'm just gonna put that in your face. Pete's not a bad guy, and I'll tell you why. So you want me to just tell you that if they make Pete a bad guy, it is the lamest, cheapest, laziest writing ever out of all the seasons, and I'm not counting season 1, obviously. Oh no, the guy who's nice is actually mean. That is the least creative thing that they could possibly do, and I highly doubt they did it. And if they did, we're all gonna be upset. You wanna know what? I'll just support Pete either way. I will support Pete if he is the Yellow King. I do not care at this point. Pete's a good guy. And everybody tried to deter us and tell us we were wrong, and I'm like, no, Pete's a good guy. And you wanna know how I knew off rip in the last episode he was a good guy? It was the first scene. What was on his jersey? Oh, a big polar bear? Let's talk about that polar bear real quick. We've all been looking at it like a spiritual entity, right? It might just be a real polar bear. An all-white animal. They tricked us because they put it out in the Arctic, so I didn't think anything of it, right? Then I thought, what if it's not a spirit entity at all? What if it's an all-white animal showing itself to our hero? So all the way back to King Arthur, if you see an all-white animal, it normally means you're the hero or the chosen one. Harry Potter has Hedwig. Jon Snow has Ghost. Gandalf has Shadowfax. Just did it in House of the Dragon. Normal with Rhaenyra. They comment on it in Game of Thrones, and Sansa's like, oh, Joffrey's gonna get me a white heart. And everybody's like, why would he get that for you? Everybody knows not to hunt one. Because when you see an all-white stag, or you see an all-white animal, and it shows itself to you, you're chosen, you're special, you're picked, you're the heir to the throne, you're the one who's gonna fulfill the prophecy, all the bullshit. So I was like, oh, just like True Detective always does. They could just be tricking us. But here's my big thing. This whole season has been very much about nature and what's natural and to the natural order of things, and then desecrating or man-made or brought in or harming that what is supposed to be natural thing. We have the dredge in the middle of this vast Arctic natural place. The mine in the town screwing with people. Man-made, machine, not right, unnatural. Instead of allowing these women to give birth the way they want to, you're making them go to the hospital. So if you are trying to use this power in a negative way, like I think, and this could possibly have meant a good thing, and it's now being used in a negative way, with the Carcosa people or the Tuttle people or whatever, desecrating that natural order, that natural thing that was once there. So what's the best way to have nature send you messages? Would it be through animals and things like that? We might find out this polar bear is actually real and is showing itself to them, and it's like weird, strange behavior. Normally they'll eat us like goldfish, but this one's not. That's so strange, and it kept showing itself to us. Now, Pete hasn't been shown a polar bear because he's a man, and no offense to you guys, but you guys aren't as in tune with that intuition, and that's what I think this spiritual or whatever it is feeling is. It's supposed to be a theme of female intuition. Trust your gut. And being closer to that thin place between world and whatever else is out there. That's a theme for female intuition. But Pete, this king that we stan, brings up a polar bear more than once. He might not have Holden's stuffed animal. He might not be getting the full message through. Like I said, I think that women are closer to that than men, and men are more tuned out to it. So instead of showing it to Pete, we have these little things around him. He's got the polar bear on his jersey. And that's when I was like, oh, we're good. He's not. Everybody is making me nervous for no reason. He brings it up as a way that maybe that's why the people ran out onto the ice. Maybe a polar bear got in and they got scared because it leaves the door to unlock or something in case of emergencies. But he's brought polar bears up more than once or twice. So you got polar bears on the brain. Polar bears on the badge, like we were talking about. What if that's it? This episode opened up with the cremation stuff. And that was really, the way they're handling those things and how their culture is, like, with the music and everything is so beautifully done. Find out that lady's like, hey, don't tell nobody I let you down here. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that either that woman's helping the people who are having childbirthing problems and maybe not telling them that there's nothing in those coffins, and we'll get to that, or nasty people are taking those babies and they don't even know it. Blue everywhere. Blue lighting, blue button, blue all of it. Then we go see Otis, right? And who's going to believe a junkie? Nobody believes a junkie. And just so you know, that's bullshit. Just because somebody has an issue or is on something doesn't mean they shouldn't be believed or cared about. Their life means the same as anybody else's. But Otis is withdrawn, right? And he's around all green. And like I said, I think that is I don't think it means good or bad, but I think it means we'll try to help you if we can. We asked him about Clark, and he's like, dude, wouldn't shut up. I knew about the guys at Slough, or I knew that they went out on the ice and they died, but I didn't know them like that. But I met Clark, and he kept saying she's awake. I think she's awake is about Danvers and about Navarro. We keep bringing up the night country thing, the night country, going into the night country. I'm assuming that's under the ice or something, but I'm like, it's just a creepy thing, and you put it in the title. Can we stop saying it? She asked him about the attack. What happened? I really liked this line. She says, yeah, but how did you live? And he said, does it seem like I lived? Like, a part of me is gone. Like, I'm never going to be right again. Never was on drugs or nothing, was working at some smart... It's like, geez. Either way, it's a heavy line. We were called out onto the ice, and now Nicole was saying she thinks it's a frequency. Like, that the mind is using when people get close enough or something that's making everybody go crazy, and maybe they're not Batman Begins in the water. I still don't trust Homebrew. I still don't trust the boyfriend, and I still think that's happening. That I thought he was going to be a meth addict. And he wasn't. He was a heroin addict. I haven't heard them bring up heroin at all, and I just thought that was odd. Well, I think that the show specifically said he was on heroin so that he wouldn't go into, like, jibber jabber town. One makes you not out and whatever, and the other one does make you do the crazy writing and all the shit and all that stuff. So I think they did want us to differentiate that so that we would listen to him and maybe not think he was a tweaker as much. Otis says that they were called. And Nicole, on our live shows, our after shows, has been saying she thinks this is like the Dyatlov shit and that there might be like a frequency they're hearing. I think she might be right because, like I've been saying, unnatural, natural. When I say unnatural, I mean man-made, anything like that, or something that it's not supposed to be there naturally. So this sound being omitted from a speaker or something is not natural. This is unnatural. If that's the case, then there's a flip side. What would that flip side be? She's awake, and the whispering, and all the supernatural shit that they're hearing. I think it's supposed to be scary, but it's not scary. I think these dead people haven't really been doing anything to our characters except trying to point them literally in the right direction. It's just like in Pet Sematary when the little girl goes, Dad, talk to Pax Cow, and she's calling him the wrong name the whole time, and he's like, what the shit is she talking about? And then he gets a car crash victim who's dead and sees the name and it's Pascal, and then he sits up and tells him quit dicking around with the Pet Sematary. It's really creepy and scary, but he's not doing anything negative. Everything here has a flip side. So if that's the case, then this is the case too. And I don't know what people want out of the supernatural shit. There's always been supernatural shit. From the very opening of season 1, what do you take finding a ritualistic killing with deer antlers and shit? Rust Cole sees the sky open up, and we're supposed to go, does he see that? Or is that like he's hurt and is messed up in the head, or is he mentally ill? We don't know. But the supernatural element has always been there from the jump. So why are we questioning it so hard now? I think they're just doing it at night and making it eerier and creepier and like, what is that more because of the environment. But it's always been there. So I'm just like, why are people going nuts now? Like, I gotta know where I come from. If it's not a Yeti jumping out of the ice, who cares? And it's like, if they do that, they've destroyed this show. Same with why I don't think Pete will be a bad guy. Doesn't work. And if they do, we're all gonna go, wow, this completely derailed. Yes, there is a supernatural like there always has been, but I don't think we're gonna get like an exact place it's coming from. If you've been around, you know that I was cross-referencing Irish and Alaskan myths because I'm super Irish, and something that the Irish are very, like, I do no elf on a shelf shit. You don't invite that into your house. You're out of your minds. It's a culture that is extremely close to magic and the veil and the other side. So I think that by repeatedly saying this guy's Irish, he's from Dublin, yada, 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 I think that was a choice. I think that was, you are also susceptible. You are also somebody who is closer with your spirit side or whatever it is. Or was vulnerable to whatever, the noise, the drug, whatever it is. He was vulnerable to it. And that's why he maybe either lived or maybe he's not vulnerable to it and he's stronger to it, so that's why he lived, but he's all jacked up. I stand by that. I'm like, you made a choice to keep saying, like, no, he's from Dublin, and you could just throw that away. But no, I caught that. Either way, if you know what a banshee is, right? Now, I use this example a lot. This is Medusa, right? So things in history, right? A lot of times, there's several different writings about it. Now, a banshee, in some ways, in some stories, is a positive. In some, it's a negative. But if you first hear that now, you're like, ooh, it's a negative. But what do? They scream, right? They howl, they wail. And then they're coming for you and your kids. Depends on the story. Medusa is a good one I use, or Achilles, but I'll do Medusa first. In some stories, she's a monster. She's the mother of monsters. She's the Gorgon, you know what I mean? She's evil. Perseus has to kill her. He's a hero. In other writings, she was sexually assaulted and was getting revenge on people and was cursed. So on one side, it's a negative. The other, it's a positive. It's weird how a lot of female things eventually just have a negative connotation attached to them, right? With that being said, maybe these scary banshees, scary howling noises, maybe they're not that bad after all. He woke up in the hospital all jacked up. That's all he knows. Danvers is like, show me on the map where to go, wherever on these caves. He does. But then he's like, I want some dope. And she's like, I can't get you dope. F off. And then we get our first shot of Pete with his polar bear jersey on and that bitch Kayla kicking him out. Someone's trying to isolate somebody or something. I don't like Kayla. I do not trust Kayla. And she works at that hospital. What are you doing with those babies? And I don't trust her grandma neither. I don't. I'll point blank say it, and then all of a sudden she's conveniently gone this episode. And Pete's really nutting up this episode. He's like, this is my fucking family. This is my shit. And then she's like, wait. And he's like, fine, I'll be nice and leave because I'm not an abusive piece of shit. Then we get Navarro and Danvers in the car together. And Danvers goes, now how funny is it for Jodie Foster to like bring up sexuality? God, I love it. But, and she's doing a real Clarice Starling this episode, and we'll get into that. But they're in the car, and she starts saying how worried she is about Leah. And Navarro's like, it's no big deal, she's just a teenager. And she's like, no, and she knows these Native women are more vulnerable. She knows that. She does not have a problem with this culture. She's trying to protect them. She wants everyone to hate her so that nobody knows nothing about her. And nobody looks twice at her because she doesn't want them to think that she knows stuff. She's playing stupid to everybody in the room, and everybody is falling for it. Most of them, whenever it's like, she's got a problem with it. And then people shit-talking Leah. I was like, teenagers are the worst, so that's why she's annoying. But they bring up the water being poisoned. I was shocked at how many people in the live didn't know Flint is still... You guys didn't know that Flint still is jacked up? Oh yeah, no, it's a problem. Danvers is saying, these people that are going out there, I don't think she's like mad at the cause, is what I'm saying. She's worried for everybody, and she's like, oh, and so she's talking a certain kind of way. But she's got to keep up this facade to everyone. I know you, and I know Leah, and I know that you guys we're going to take it to you, and we'll fight with you in your face. And that scares me, because I know you're vulnerable to whatever this is out here. They go to the cave, right? They go to the cave. And I felt, if Kaylee Reese is not nominated for an Emmy, you guys screwed up. When she says, of course it fucking is, or whatever, and gets all mad at seeing the thing blown up, because obviously they didn't want them to get in, I felt every word she said this episode. And we will get into why I think she may die. But I really think it's going to be Danvers. I truly think it will be Danvers. He calls his dad, right? This whole episode, Pete's making a choice. He's standing out in front of that window. He don't want to go home. I don't want to go to the house where I was abused my whole life. I'm struggling with that. I was going to walk in, and then when he hears his dad playing, when I first watched that, I went, oh, that's kind of sweet and sad. The second watch through, I realized Pete's like, fuck that. Really reminded him of like, I don't even know you, and I don't even like you. But he's on the phone with him. And you notice, this is what I mean about Pete, and it's how he's seeing everybody this episode. When he first calls his dad, one, lies to him about what he's doing, even if it's something small. I know you're lying to me. Then he says, like, oh yeah, me and Kayla this, me and Kayla that. His dad doesn't immediately say, like, come home. When he tells Danvers, she immediately says, do you need somewhere to stay? Do you need this? Like a mom. We still don't know what happened to Pete's mom. Hank didn't strike me as a guy who would really fight in court. I think that lady would know. Do you know how scared you'd have to be as a mom to leave your child? Do you want to know what Hank reminded me of? If I can't have you, nobody can. He would have pulled that trigger. He would have pulled that trigger on his own son if Pete wouldn't have done it. Eventually his dad does say, yeah, you can come stay, but like I said, it's not the same as when Danvers immediately hears about it. Now, True Detective, you killed this. The protest. The way of showing that on screen was beautifully done. It was not grossly done. It was not exploitive. It was very well done, showing from both sides, and especially through Navarro's character and how she feels and how she's like, I'm just trying to keep everybody safe. I know that my people hate me for being this and doing this, and the other cops don't like me because of this, and this, and I'm just trying to keep everybody safe out here. Like, some officers do want to help.
but the system's fucked. It's fucked up. All right, Leah's sneaky-ass, rat-ass girlfriend. Okay, if I got you guys into something, and I'm taking you to that for the first time, and then all of a sudden, at first I'm like, let's go, come and do this with me, come and do this with me, come and do this with me, and then all of a sudden when we get there, I'm like, no, you lured Leah. You lured Leah, and this is how you're picking your victims. I figured it out. This is how they're picking their victims, everybody. This is how they're figuring out who to target, whose face is the most prominent at that gate, whose face is out there in the front. The whole town had a reason to kill Annie K. She was an actress, she did this, she did that. Annie was out there real prominent, just like Leah was. They did a beautiful job with this. Another thing they did a great job with, showing how a teenager does not understand the magnitude of what they're getting involved in. When they first cut to Leah and her girlfriend putting the paint on and then looking at their picture, looking in the mirror like that and being like, okay, like we're going to do this. I'm not saying that teens aren't smart enough to understand an idea and support one. Not at all. What I'm saying is teens don't understand the magnitude of some things. And this did a really good job of reminding the audience before she gets to this protest, this is a kid. This is a goddamn kid. She might not be 8, she might not be 15, but she's a baby. This is a kid. We have Navarro getting there. Shit's getting real. Leah starts getting beat up on by a cop. But when does a grown-ass adult or a grown-ass man need to beat up on a kid with a baton, a girl, a teenage girl? So Leah's getting beat up on. There's no need for it. Navarro sees it. I think that no matter what, Navarro would have done the same thing, because it's the right thing to do. This show's not about being a cop. It's about being a true detective. It's about, will you stand and do the right thing no matter what? I think Navarro would have behaved that way no matter whose kid it was. But then when she saw it was Leah, it was like, I'll bust you in half. Let's do this. Where's your little girlfriend? Because if my friend, I don't give a shit if it was a cop, especially if it was a cop at a protest, I would be stepping in, especially as a white woman. Especially as a white woman. Especially with the themes going on here. And then you don't even step up and just go, hey, maybe stop this, or you know what I mean? No women are really taken seriously, but white women tears is a real thing. But that's not even what I'm trying to say here. I'm just like, absolutely, step in and go like, hey, I'm seeing that shit. I'm not cool with that. Like, will that help? Because if not, then start wailing on me too. But nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. I thought you wanted me to sneak out and we'd go to this and all this stuff. Now you're gone. Where are you? And one of them had a big, giant orange flag. And I'm like, what's a better way to symbol on the battlefield to your other people where you're at? A flag. First we get Danvers getting a call from the mine. She's got to go see Kate McKinnon, which isn't Kate McKinnon, but we're calling her that. And the man she's banging's there. Now Connelly, I think he's real good after this one. There's some stuff we'll get into in a second. He's there, and she needs to go talk to the mine people whenever. But this show is doing such a good job with the nighttime thing that I'm like, our sense of time is so screwed up. And at first I thought it was attached to the solstice, and it still might be, but and there's huge significance with New Year's Eve. But I think that they specifically use this time so that they can go, Christmas was a week ago, and we'll know where we're at in time, because our sense of time is so warped. Tomorrow she went and talked to them, but I don't think that's the case. I think it was all in one day. But Navarro calls, says, I got your kid. What do you want me to do? She goes, lock her up. She does not do that because she's mad. She does it to keep her safe. It's happened in Succession. It happens in Game of Thrones. It's happening here. Protect my heir, protect my legacy, protect my family. That's why she doesn't take Pete. That's why she doesn't take Navarro. That's why she only tells Navarro, and that's why she keeps Leah locked in that room. It's not because she's mad at Leah. It's because I know she's there and I know she's safe. I do think it hit Leah really hard when Navarro says, man, I feel bad for Danvers, and I think that really did hit her. I mean, this whole sequence of like Leah getting brought in, Danvers comes in first. It's like a sitcom where the kid's in trouble. The mom comes home, goes up to the brother, and is like, did you know about her going to that? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know what's going on. What's happening? Now the sister's coming in, getting in trouble, and he's like, oh my God, really? We're going this far with it? And I love her and Pete's relationship. I really do. And then it's like the big sister bringing you in. It's like this family. And once again, Hank keeps saying, remember your blood, yada, yada, yada. Blood don't mean nothing. This is my family. Later in the episode, when Hank comes into the office, what is it? Oh, family stuff. They're my family, not you. Not you, Dad. Because like I said, Pete's really struggling with this. He's going back to the house he grew up in and abused in, going, the way his dad's acting and lying, and he's still the same guy. I know what my dad is. And then the way Danvers is treating him. Throughout the episode, Pete's going, I'm trying to give you a reason, Dad, to be my family, but this is my family. God, Pete, the angel. He's just like, oh, let's talk about Tuttle. Now, forget the funding. We all knew they were funding it. We all knew they were funding the town, right? We all knew they were funding the mine. Who cares? That's not the big deal. Founder is the big word. A founder at Salao. You're not just a donator. Founder. You're one of the founding companies. And I noticed that too, where there's another one out there then. And they think that it's bogus pollution stuff. And now I'm thinking maybe it is that, because that would be a really great message to send. Because like I said, Flint is still jacked up. People should have safe water to drink. We live in America. This is insane. Maybe the water thing is legit thing. I still don't trust the homebrew. I still think there's drugs involved somewhere with something, or maybe it is the water. But maybe with this sound thing, me and Nicole have been talking about, that could not be as much of a thing, but, and that way the message of, can we have clean fucking water in 2024? That would be really, really cool, especially for children and stuff. I think that's kind of what we need. We're not a third world country. It's ridiculous. So I wouldn't mind if they kept, like, for real, the pollution is for real messing people up on top of whatever's going on here. Especially with seeing how devastating that is in my own state. We got Leah and Pete talking, right? And I loved this back and forth. That it also shows it doesn't matter what color your skin is. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter. You can be a good person. Go. She says, he's also a hockey champ. Can we get Pete jerseys? I want a jersey. I want a Prior jersey. But I found out he's a hockey champion because she says, oh yeah, Kayla saw you play. And he says, oh, senior year playoffs? So you won playoffs, Pete. She says, no, a different game. He says, and then she was like, you lost. And so-and-so was playing. And you missed on purpose so that they could score because you just found out one of their parents died from a stroke. That's not something murderers do. That is not something killers do. That is not something nice people do. It's adding to this Kayla. Whether Kayla's bad or not, she wants the old Pete, and he's never going to be the old Pete. He's a grown man now. You're not going to always have the boy Pete. You need to accept all parts of him if you want to be with him, and vice versa. But for this show, that's what she wants. Oh, I want you to be the stupid idiot I fell in love with. Maybe I don't want to be a sweet idiot anymore. This is where she fell in love with you. Yeah, I still have that part of me in me, but there's more to me now. Total, your siblings grounded shit. Like, I brought you a pop and chips. And is that really? And then it's like, you really got me that one? I like whatever. And it's like, okay, come on. Stop being this way with me. Leah had a great line when she said, don't let Danvers know that you know she cares about you. She's not good with people she cares about. Leah knows how she is. Leah knows that Liz loves her. She's a teenager. Then we have Danvers straight say it. Her and Navarro go in her office. She's like, hey, I gotta go to the mine. I'm only telling you. You're not coming. Leah's making herself vulnerable. This, that, and the other. Oh my God. Did I love Jodie Foster going to that mine? There's something about an older woman telling you to fuck yourself because and the guy she's banging is there. And Kate McKinnon's there. And they show them the picture of them at the entryway. And she's like, yeah, what the shit are you doing over here? And she's like, I'm done with this. You can tell Jodie Foster's like, yeah, I'm over this shit. And she's just like, well, I was told by one of the engineers. And you can tell that that lady thought he was dead. And I think Connelly did too. I think he was supposed to be on top of that shit back in the day the first time. I think it bothered him, and that's why he sent Danvers out there. Because later on, we hear Kate McKinnon or whatever talking to Hank, and she says, when he's like, I should have got chief of police. And she's like, she came out of nowhere. I didn't know. She got exiled here. We didn't know, yada, yada, yada. Connelly sent her there. And they're telling her about the forensics and how it's bull and all this stuff. She's like, come on, man. And I thought she was going to talk about that vet. And I was like, oh, no, don't get him in trouble. The whole time, Connelly is like, Nicole explained it best, kicking her under the table, like, shut up. Like, you can tell he's not taking super detailed notes. And I love polite shit talking back and forth, but this is past that. This is an investigation. These are cops, so we have to talk a certain kind of way. I know we can't say everything we want to say, but I don't give a shit. We're going there now. In Game of Thrones, Tywin does it. Get my heir out of here. Keep my legacy out of here. Keep them safe. Get them out of the situation I'm about to start, whether that's a war or whatever. Logan Roy does it with Roman twice. When they go to see the Swede at one point, he can tell, this guy's getting in your head, Roman. And he goes, yeah, can you just take Roman back to the yacht, yada, yada, yada. Logan is getting his heir, his legacy out of there because he's like, whatever shit I'm about to start, you need to be away from. That's what Jodie Foster's doing. That's why she teed off. She's like, I know where Pete is. I know where Navarro is. And I know Leah's safe. So let's go. And like I said with the Dyatlov stuff, the forensics are very close to that, where they're like, oh, it was this, it was that. And it's like, no, it wasn't, but whatever, who am I to argue with it? But when she immediately is just like, fuck you, I'm like, you notice that lady's dipping. She's running after they get into their little spat. And then when Jodie Foster yells after her and says, sorry, Bill's such a bad lay. And I'm like, her husband? No, you didn't, Jodie Foster. No, you didn't. Not on her own turf, at her own company. Oh, I'm sorry. Bill is such a bad lay. Kicked her in the husband. Loved it. I don't know about you guys, but if I thought you staged my husband's murder to make him look like a drunk driver and killed him and my son, I might bang all your husbands too. I might touch every one of their dicks if that meant, and on top of making you all hate me, yeah, I might really come for you people if you were all a part of this bullshit and my family looked a certain kind of way and was dead now. Let's have it out. I'll bang your husbands, I'll take your money, I'll do whatever. But then Connelly steps in. And he's like, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. And the reason he brings up Wheeler in the Wheeler case is not to be mean to her. He's saying that shit's gonna come out if you don't stop. Please stop. I'm trying to protect you here. He's telling her, we have that. They know. Just go home to your daughter. Oh, what do they keep calling it? Like freak weather or something? Oh, and I think this is interesting. So obviously this freak weather thing isn't really what happened, right? Unnatural, lie, Not there. Not supposed to be there. What happens later in the episode to help our crew? A natural occurring storm. While they're using a lie, they have a natural one they use later on. Eventually, Ka is a wheel. There will always be good eventually to come around to oppose evil. Eventually, nature always fights. Do you want to know all this is? The Ents fighting back against Isengard. Remember when the Ents, the last March of the Ents, when they come back and they fight against the machine and the trees fight back? That's what's happening here. And they're pushing people into certain places to do it. Who want to live forever and do ritual sacrifices and do weird shit, wanting to live forever is not a good thing. It's unnatural. And the sooner they learn, you die just like everybody else. Voldemort, Sauron, they get humbled real quick. That's the one thing they're afraid of. I'm like everybody else. Remember that these are just humans we're going up against in this show. How they view time as a flat circle and how they view death is very different from the natural order of things. To die is natural. Winter coming, night coming, those are natural things. That's okay. There's scary things in them sometimes, but that's okay. Winter, specifically, is a sign of everything's dying, and guess what? It comes back in spring, doesn't it? Life comes back. Nature comes back. Oh, I think that Connelly is actually a really good guy and used to be a really good cop and just became a career climber. Well, not only does he get called a political animal later on, but Jodie Foster says, what happened to you? What happened to you? She used to respect you. And he said, there's a dead woman out. There's a dead woman out there. Obviously, back in the day, that would have been something where he'd be like, we're on it, And now you're not? And that's what makes him tee off with the Wheeler stuff. I'm disappointed. I'm not mad at you. I'm disappointed in you. You were better than this. You're a better man than this. Be a true detective. Now, having a big New Year's Eve is huge. It's Lord Voldemort's birthday. I'll let you guess why. Rebirth. Restart. New. A new thing beginning. Cycles. I see what you did. Then we're at the laundromat. Where's Granny? Not there. Here comes Kayla. Gross. Navarro's getting visions there. And then the boyfriend shows up. I don't know where to put him. He's really winning me over. I thought he was really sweet this episode, but he comes pulling somebody there. But I'm like, are you just giving her enough information? Did you throw us off with the quid pro quo thing? I don't know. But either way, I don't think he's fully involved with things, but I definitely think he knows about it. He's like Aberforth Dumbledore. He's like, I know you guys are peddling poisons and shit through my bar. I know you guys are using my bar. I know you guys are using it for other things, but I turn the other way, don't I? I let everybody come and go. And how many people get drunk and vent to their bartender? So that's what I'm saying here. I'm like, I definitely think he has knowledge, and maybe he's keeping Navarro safe, or I don't know. But I'm like, or maybe you're keeping an eye on her. But he drags this guy into the laundromat and is like, talk to her about these signs, and their warnings, and how this guy got cussed out by his granny for fucking around in ice caves when after he found one, and how they would go and smash things in and go in them on purpose. And obviously these older people probably knew what happens to kids out there. I don't think they were worried about the caves. They were worried about who dicks around in them. And he said, it's a symbol for the night country. Okay, that's getting brought up again, but who cares? He just says these things. If they're around, we were told to go, and it was a warning of the caves. That's what we were told. I don't think it's a warning for the caves. I think it's gross. But, as I was saying, I think this symbol and this thing for Carcosa, or the Yellow King, or whatever, was originally, like I was saying with Medusa and stuff, a good thing. And now you are desecrating it and using it in this nasty way, and it might have taken millennia, it might have taken thousands of years, we don't know, but eventually, nature's going to fight back. And if that's using a polar bear to go and tell a cop what to do, we'll call it the spirit world. But it's nature, it's energy, it's everything around us, it's the force. Hank goes to talk to Kate McKinnon. The first thing out of her mouth is, how's Pete? Okay, threat. She says, I need you to go and kill Otis, the junkie. Nobody cares if they get lost, yada, yada, yada. And it's really sad and mean. Don't say that about people with problems. Hank says, I'm no killer. I did that thing for you before. We found out I was moving the body. I need more money. But first she says, make Connelly do it. She says, Connelly won't do it. He's a political animal. He wants this. He wants to be a career climber. He's too, I like everybody and I want everybody like me. I can't count on him. Or Connelly screwed up and let Otis get away last time. So why would I trust him with this time? But I think that maybe we'd find out that Danvers might think Connelly got her on paperwork officially pushed to Ennis. But maybe that was just all behind the scenes and there's no paperwork or paper trail of that because he was like, I don't really like that mine or what they're doing, so I'm going to send my friend who I know is a good cop out there. Either she knows it and he's in trouble, or that mine lady knows it and Connelly's in trouble, or they have no idea that he did that. But either way, she knows she can't rely on him. She needs Hank to do this. Now, this was, Jesus Christ. Okay, Callie Reese, Navarro, her and Danvers back and forth. And Danvers is like, we're off of it. Quit it. Chill. And she's like, no, we're not, Paul. And they're going back and forth. Not only would it be the most intense thing and intimidating thing ever is to get the call that I'm doing True Detective with Jodie Foster, and then you act on par, if not better than her, in a scene. Holy shit. I am telling you, I had chills. I have chills now. I had goosebumps when she looked at her and went, you carry her. I've carried her forever. You carry her now. Because that's how it feels. When you're like, I don't care. I don't care. No, I will. I'll lose my job. I'll do whatever. I'll get killed for this. Like, it's wrong, and I'll stand up for it. There are very few people that will do that in this world. Danvers tells her they know about Wheeler. They know. So please, please, please let Annie K go. And she's like, no, you carry her. Goddamn. So then Navarro stomps out. Hank and Pete start talking, right? And he's like, oh yeah, what's that about? And he's like, family stuff. And you can tell Hank's like, yeah, family, right? I'm your family. But Pete's like, no, get out of here. Get the story about Pete under the ice. And how his dad would do anything to get him out. And I think he's bullshitting when he says, I was dreaming of you. You weren't dreaming of him. You've been, and if you were, it's because you've been stressed as shit about him because he won't go on the take. And you're worried about the mine people killing him or something. And they keep asking you, how's Pete? That's a threat. That is not somebody asking how your kid is. Oh my God, Rose and Eve going to get rid of Julia's ashes was beautiful. Now I know, I mean this when I say it, I don't watch stuff. I avoid all of the reviews, all podcasts, all everything. I don't go on Reddit, none of it. I only brought up the Tuttle thing on that live because I thought, she's got money. And you want to know what? This family don't really seem to like women very much. So maybe she just got sick of it or didn't like it or whatever. I think she was working at a university. If she's a Tuttle, they sent her out to Alaska to work at Salal or something. She didn't like what was going on and was like, I want a way out. And Travis helped her, or Travis and Rust helped get her away from there. I wouldn't be surprised to find out whatever her real name is, and if it's Mary, I'm going to die, but I think it is. That on paper, she's dead. Some people think she's the one like actually running things, which could be a possibility. It fits into what I think is happening now. I don't think that about Rose. Not at all. And I asked my friend that because she was reading stuff, and I go, does anybody have any evidence to back it up? She goes, well, somebody said her house looks like this stuff from the Yellow King. And I was like, yeah, so does Rust Cole's. That don't mean shit. That don't mean nothing. You were hanging out with Rust Cole's dad. Like, of course you might have some shit like that or know about it. I don't think she's the head honcho bad guy. There's no way. Her name's Mary, though. She might be Rust's mom. Because he says his mom ran off. But what would you do if you were running around with cartels and doing all this dangerous shit? You might tell everybody, yeah, my mom, I don't know where she's at, to keep her safe. Maybe that's what Rust was doing in season 1, on top of putting out leads of I'm going undercover again. Maybe he really did help his mom get out and go out to Alaska. Maybe they did rekindle a relationship, her and his dad. Because she acts and looks an awful lot like Rust. But who knows? I don't know. If she's a Tuttle and Rust's mom, that's crazy. That's too much, I think. She could be a Tuttle, but I don't think she's involved in no weird ritual crap. I really don't. Rust's dad would have not been, like, cool with her. The only reason I even brought that up because I was like, well, the money. And everybody's acting like she's loaded. I'm like, and what gave that off besides her just saying she was professional? She lives very modestly in a small home. Like, she's just a single lady. Like, it's not like she's got Bentleys or something outside. And I've always been in belief that him and his dad corresponded way more than he let on. I don't think Rust and him were BFFs, but I definitely think he knew a lot. Time. But yeah, no, Rose, if you really think she's a Tuttle and Rust's mom, I feel like that's too much. If she's Rust's mom, I don't think I would be too angry. I think I would like that, actually, because this whole thing has been themed about moms. I don't know. I don't believe that if she is a Tuttle, she's not involved in no ritual crap. I don't think she is. I don't think Rust's dad would affiliate with somebody like that. Unless she killed him. I don't know. And this is going to get really crazy. I also feel like when Navarro and her are out on the ice, and they get rid of the sister's ashes. That was really sweet and beautiful. Ice is scary. That cracking was scary. But I didn't really realize this. Navarro might not be a mom, technically speaking, but she did take care of her sister like one. And she refers to her as baby girl. So she might not have lost her baby, but she lost her baby girl. And I like that. That's a cute little thing. But when she has the vision, Rose, Mary, is like, I was yelling at you, I was screaming at you, and I didn't hear you. I think that people are getting angry with the supernatural stuff, or like not getting to the end of it or whatever. I think that they're using it mostly so that instead of having a flashback, because we weren't there, they are using this as a tool. Now we can have a vision, and we get to see all that, whatever we need to see. You get what I'm saying? And it's a smart way to use in the story, as long as you don't do it wrong. My notes just say Kayla F off. Danvers goes over there to talk to Leah, and we haven't seen Darwin in a minute on screen. Concerned. I'm wondering if Kayla's going to try to rope Leah into doing something to Pete's kid, and then Pete's going to be like, how could you do this to me? Because if you were on our live stream, we talked about this. We tie it back to religion, and I'm going to get there, don't worry. Nicole said, because 2 oranges fell on the Godfather, right before the hit is taken out on him, and Don Corleone's eating a orange peel at the end. Oranges represent death and a lot of different things. How many oranges fall on the ground in the Godfather? And you're like, 2. Okay, well, how many people die, how many main people in the Corleone family die? Sonny, the heir, and his father, Vito. So so Nicole said, I think there's going to be 3 deaths in this because 3 oranges fell onto the ice. And I'm going to stick with that. Then we were tying it back to religion, and I'm going to get more in depth with that at the end. You can fast forward if you'd like to just see that, and why I know Pete's going to make it, or at least he's the top one, possibly, and then it's either going to be Danvers. I really think it's going to be Danvers. And Navarro and Pete will be there holding her hand while she dies, in a nice way. And she'll go to Holden and her husband. Or it will be Navarro and Danvers. I really love this between Danvers and Leah, and she says, I haven't given up on you. I really like that. We're talking about the stillbirths and everything happening there, and after Liz has this conversation with Leah, she feels like, and I'm assuming this is part of her and her loss, and probably it's kind of like ripping that wound open again to remember how bad that hurts. You should be able to relate with these women more than anybody. On screen, in person, but on screen, when you see a child-sized coffin, a little coffin, it is like one of the most unnerving things, It's so unnatural. You're like, that's not meant, that shouldn't have happened. In Pet Sematary, when Gage dies, it's not even the car wreck that's rough. It's the funeral. It's when we see that little tiny casket and then everybody has a meltdown and starts fist fighting at the funeral. That's the hard part to watch. But the first time I ever saw it on screen and kind of understood what was happening, and this started my love for the Iditarod, and believe me, I know all about it. I've read The Cruelest Smiles. I'm on Togo, on Balto, all of them. Balto, like in the cartoon, makes his decision to run. Goes into town and he sees them breaking down furniture and dog sleds to make tiny coffins. And it's because it's a child's film, they can't go, hey, kids are dead, kids are dying, because kids are watching it and they're not allowed to do that. So instead we show images on a screen called a movie. And I remember even being really little and going, that's not right. That's not cool. That's not okay. So when we walk in to this room and all these tiny, oh my God, and I really don't know if that guy was weird. I think he was sweet though when he said, at least they're not alone, they're together, because the ground is too hard to make graves right now. That was so sad. And remember this name, okay, because we're about to talk a lot about it. Noah, okay? I think anybody with a biblical name is safe for the moment. Julia is not a biblical name. Kayla is not a biblical name. Hank is not a biblical name. Elizabeth, Eve, Peter, Leah, Jake, Jacob, her dead husband. I'll get into this at the end. But we keep talking about this flood that destroyed all this stuff, and was it really a flood, or was there a Donnie Darko situation, and you broke a water main to get rid of files and stuff? But then we see the name Noah, an unnerving scene, but I think that Jodie Foster needs that pain to feel again to go, fuck this, it don't matter. This is wrong. We need to fix this. We need to solve it. To do the right thing no matter the cost. This is no longer about being a cop. This is about being a hero. This is about doing the right thing. Okay, I won't get too far into this, but in my first review and in my Snapchat story on the first night, when the scientists walked out on the ice, I looked at my mom and I said, I bet you there's 9. She said, why would there be 9, Abby? I said, because 9 is a huge number in sacrificial things throughout history and mythology and different religions and pagan ones all over the place. 9 is big with sacrifices. Or it's 7, which is the most powerful magical number. Not only is it the most powerful magical number, it's huge in religion, and so is the number 3. And then they were like, no, 8 scientists went out. And I'm like, fuck you. I feel dumb. Nope. There were 7 victims, though, because we found out 1 was running around. 7 is the most powerful magical number. 7 kids in the Losers Club. 7 Horcruxes. I could keep going. 7 is the most powerful magical number, and then 3. So I thought it was really interesting when they said there was 9 babies dead in there, and I don't think their bodies are there. For one reason or another, it's either good, and that cremation lady's on the up and up. I know she's good. So is she helping the native people when they bring their kids to her? And they're putting like weights or something in the coffins to make them believe they have their bodies? Or are these nasty tuttle people snatching up these kids to use them for whatever? Because we have to remember what they said in the beginning. They are looking for like the fountain of youth, essentially. Anybody who wants that normally isn't good. Instead of calling it the fountain of youth, they're going, we're looking for this organism and these things that scientifically we can cure all ailments and fix everything. It's like, who do you think that's going to be available to? Us? No. Do you think it has something to do with the genealogy of these Inuit people? Because they evolved different from everybody else in the world. And who the hell are you following, Hank? In 30 people town, Alaska, with your lights off. We all know you're following. And this is when we really get that Clarice Starling, Jodie Foster greatness, and she's just like, she knows everything that's going on, just like she's always known. Like I've been saying from the jump, I don't watch any of this podcast shit. I don't even watch my other friends' reviews on it, because I'm like, I don't want it to taint my view on it. No, from the jump, I'm like, she's playing dumb, she's playing stupid, she's playing like, don't like me, dislike me, but she doesn't feel any of these ways. It's all an act. The way she knows, the second Hank's behind her, she knows. But we get to the police station, and she's doing that lady thing we do, but times 10, and like with her playing Clarice with Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, I don't think people realize what Clarice is doing times 10 and what she's doing right here times 10 is the lady we've all been there, at the bar, going, this guy's kind of scary, but I don't know, I don't want to offend him for him to go crazy. So you're like, oh my God, no, you're just great. You're the greatest. No, I'm going to give you my number. I got to run to the bathroom. I got to check out my friend. And you know what I mean? Because you're like, this person's making me nervous. That's what she's doing with Hannibal Lecter times 10. In this, she's trying to do that. Like, we see each other, but I got to fight different from you. I gotta be strategic with what I do. Can I slink out of this? Are we doing it right here? You can tell she's thinking the entire time. And I love when she says to Pete, get in here, grab your laptop. Your dad pretends to be a dummy. He seems to be stupid. Because women have to know. We have to know or we get killed. We gotta know who's being weird in here, who's doing what. My gut says he's weird. I know this one's weird. Like, we're constantly having to go, what if I have to get out of this situation? Whether it's we're going into the mall after we parked alone or going to the bathroom at the club. We have to know. We have to think. You know that scene? It's my favorite because Maester Aemon is my favorite Targaryen. And you see that flip in him in Game of Thrones when he tells Jon, kill the boy. Kill the boy and let the man we need be born. Go. You gotta be a man now. That, and you need to choose what kind of man you're gonna be. Right now is when it starts. I never meant for this to happen this quick, Pete, but I need you to do it now. I need to know that you can take this over. I need to know that I can leave this to you when I go, and or if something happens and you'll do the right thing. I need to know what kind of man you are right now, here and now, and go. And I know it's hard because it's me, and what you're looking at is rough, but I need to know you can do it. I need to know you're not what your dad is. Did you tell anybody anything? Did you say this? Did you say that? And Pete's like, no, and she trusts him because he didn't. He's the heir. He's the heir to it. He's the one who's going to carry it on. Be a true detective at the end of the day. We go into the Wheeler case. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. But I think they've wanted us to think this, but what boomer shit is going on here? Because I like how the phone thing happened. It's like, you're under 30, crack it or whatever. And he's like, okay. But you're trying to tell me that a bunch of cops just inverted photos on Microsoft Paint and got away with a crime? I'm like, that's all you're gonna say they did? But I'm like, that fits, I guess, with these boomer ass people that don't know how to use shit. You just flip the photos around? Shit do you mean? Somebody would notice. It's the cops, so who knows? And that guy needed to die, so we did the right thing. You can tell this really hurts Pete, but he knows it too. He deserved to know the truth out of her mouth. But notice how she didn't say that shit. Notice how she didn't, she never exactly says, I killed him, or whoever did. Because I guarantee you it was Navarro. And Jodie Foster ain't gonna run her mouth. But she hates her, right? Can't stand her, right? Disrespects her, right? This girl who died. Obviously, Navarro was in the right. This guy needed to go. That girl didn't deserve this, but she doesn't like these people, right? She doesn't feel for them. Why the fuck would you live somewhere like that if you didn't feel for anybody around you? And she's proud of Pete when we get to it, but she's that's what she's doing. She's going, something might happen to me. I need to know that this will keep going. And I like when she gives him the key. And Mom said the same thing. She goes, why is he in a shack? And Nicole and me were like, yeah, that was weird. Later on, I'm assuming he was sleeping in the house because he comes down in boxers and a t-shirt. I think that she just, it would be like, there's an emergency right now. I need my house key. But I'm like, shit, if you need, here, this one's to my garage. Like, you can, I know it sucks, but you can hang out there for a minute till I'm back. I think she was fully aware that when she said, I won't see you, you won't see me. When she offered it after she said, oh, are you guys getting divorced? He's like, it's not a divorce. Do you guys think that she knew all along, like a mom with her precious baby boy, she ain't good enough for you? And purposely was like, keeping him out there and was like, no, you need to get away from her. Some mom shit. She can't just tell you, because if your parent just tells you not to see somebody, you're going to see them even more. We've been seeing this big pseudo-family throughout this, right? Navarro's the big sister, Pete's the middle child, Leah's the youngest, Danvers is the mom. You see Pete trying to find a reason to be like, Dad, I'm semi-cool with you. And he doesn't want to kill him the whole time, but he's like, I'm realizing more and more this is my family, not you. Blood, like you keep saying, and I will tell you from experience, don't mean a goddamn thing. It doesn't. It doesn't mean a damn thing. Your family is your family. And however you make that family does not constitute if you have the same blood in your veins. Oh my God. So Pete just went through all this shit, right? And then Hank walks up on him and is trying to tell him some shit. Rewatching it. No. And it was really sad. Pete is that little boy getting beat up again. That he was. That's what it is. When his dad comes in, he's like, he's trying to intimidate me. That's what he's trying to do. It's coming off one way, but it's intimidation. Because that's how abuse works. Groomed abuse, emotional abuse. On top of physical. But that's how you accept the physical and go, I still care about this person. Because it's not overnight. But Pete knows, and Pete's done. And you can tell he's that little boy again. Get the fuck away from me. Don't fucking touch me. And you can see it, and then he's like, what? I'm not 5 no more. I'm not 6 no more, Dad. What are you going to do? I'm a grown-ass man. Hank realizes, I'm not going to have him. But like he said with his dream with the ice, I'll do anything to keep you. I really liked seeing the boyfriend with Eve. This was really sweet. And shout out to, because this hit me hard, was when she said, you're not going to stop me. And he doesn't say shit. And let me tell you, I've only dated one person that was like that with me, and it was my favorite quality. He knew exactly who I was and how I was. He never underestimated me. He knew how intelligent I was. And he never tried to go, no, Abby, don't do that. No, Abby, don't do this. Don't go out. Don't whatever. It was like, no, I know you. And part of you is like, no, I want you to stop me. But also, if you try to, it's going to be a problem. But it's sweet when you try. I loved that. So he's made it from my list of, I don't think you're evil. I don't think he's evil or good. I think that he has a ton of information, though. I think that he's a steady in and out, and I think that there is something wrong with that homebrew, and he knows it, and I think that he helps that go in and out. I think he's very aware of what the mine is doing, but it pays his bills. And it's mostly minors they keep showing at the bar. Not about them, but every time they're on screen, they're drinking beer, so the person creating it wants us to think something there. This really threw me through a loop. I truly thought she's going to give him the option here to die, and tell him, like, either it's going to be brutal and bad, and out on the ice or something, or shot, or whatever, or you can take this syringe right now and shoot this up, and you'll pass away. But then all of a sudden, she's got a whole kit for him. He's whipping out tinfoil. He's freebasing in your bathroom. Make him go to the window at least. Jesus. Oh my God. I was like, for freebasing it? And all this guy wanted was this fix. All this guy wanted was this fix. And then he finally gets it, and he gets shot in the head. But we don't need him. We don't need him anymore because Navarro figured out how to get there. But we got the dope. She's already talked to Navarro on the phone to meet up with her. She's like, we ain't giving up. Fuck it. Come over. And so Navarro's on her way. She's en route. Dude gets high. Here's Jodie Foster answering the door. And like I said, we're playing that nice lady shit of going, yeah, come on in, okay, because you don't know what they're going to do. And it's like, okay, well, I have to outthink you while you probably try to physically overpower me. Eve's leaving the boyfriends. When she sees that little girl pointing, that's what drives it home, because it's not going to stop. She'll be the next Annie K. But now we got living people pointing, or was she seeing a vision of her or her sister younger? I don't know, but either way, that was really striking and really well done. And they give you enough time to totally forget about Navarro. I totally forgot she was on her way. Hank and Danvers are going back and forth. Hank shoots Otis right then and there. And then Danvers goes to say, I'm calling Connelly, I think. Something like that. And he's like, we're not doing nothing. And then, out of the darkness comes our hero, Pete. And we just hear, what's going on? He doesn't say dad. He doesn't say, hey, like he's not, what's going on? Tell me right now, what's going on? I think he knew right then and there. There's something different about him. I'm in danger because all of a sudden he starts spilling his guts. I'm not a killer. I moved her body, but I didn't have nothing to do with it. You nasty. We got Pete, we got Hank having a standoff. Now, I know when he moved towards Danvers is when Pete let the trigger go. I think he would have done it anyway. And I think he knew my dad would do it to me if I don't do it to him. I know what he is. And it was great, and it was amazing, and I loved it. I definitely think Pete was afraid. And then we get Hank talking about how our blood matters. It's our blood that matters, blah, 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 blah. But Pete does exactly what a good cop, a true detective, the right thing to do is. And when he doesn't shoot him while his hands are down, his dad's going to kill Danvers, and he's not going to let that happen. That's the wrong thing to allow happen. But this is the first time that little boy is standing up to his abuser. So of course he's scared, but he's like, I'm not going to let you do this again. And Jodie Foster immediately goes to Pete and is holding him. Wants to do something. She wants to call Connelly. And I'm like, if you would have trusted back in the day to call him, because you really want to call him a lot. So I'm like, he must have been a decent guy deep down. He must have been a good cop back when they first met. And I love the way Navarro comes in and she's just like, okay, got this. You cannot call him. Pete will be fucked. You cannot allow that to happen. We got to handle this. Do this, do that. We're going to use this natural storm that just so happens to be helping us with a number 4 in it, which is a very sturdy, good, healthy number. It's a positive number. And we have not heard that number at all. But it's a Category 4 freak snowstorm that just showed up. And that's going to help cover our tracks. Get the bodies out to Rose. Tell her to take them to my sister. Put them in the sea. The way she's just like calling the shots, going, you can do this, you got this. And it's 2 kids telling their mom, we can handle this, we got this. But the way Jodie Foster is looking at Pete, because she's not worried that he's going to get hurt at the moment. She feels responsible. She's the mom. She's 2 kids are going, we got this. And she's going, you got this, little brother. You have it. Handle it. Hold it down. Said it's 2 kids going, it's okay, Mom. We can handle it. I know you think we can't, but we can. And then we get an awesome shot of the car in the snow going down the road, and then that Save Tonight coming in. What a bop. And I was like, oh my God. I really loved this episode. I don't understand what people are crying about. I really do not. I'm like, I really think some of you don't even realize it's internal misogyny, and like you feel the need to critique this harder than you should. This is good. This is the best season they've done, and I love Mahershala Ali, and I thought season 3 was pretty good. I think this is way better than that. Now, if you don't want to hear this, then tune out. But I was looking at, I'm going through the names and stuff, and I'm like, wait, I was comparing Darwin and Charles Darwin and evolution, and like I've been saying, there's a flip side to everything. There's science, and then there's spiritual. Charles Darwin, evolution, start of life. How did it begin? How did it keep going? How did it evolve? Eve, Adam and Eve, at the beginning, yada, yada, yada. Then I'm like, how did I let Peter get by me? And then I was like, how did I let Elizabeth get by me? That is, I'll tell you guys who Elizabeth is in the Bible. That is the mother of John the Baptist. John the Baptist was the messenger. He died getting his message across. He got his head cut off for it. They were like, stop talking and spouting off your shit. And he said, I won't. I'm gonna get my message across. That's what Holden's doing. Elizabeth was an older mother who dreamed of having that she was going to get pregnant, even though she never did before. And then she did. Leah. After I see those, I go, okay, well, who's left? And I go, Jake, her dead husband, Jacob? That's a huge name in the Bible. Using broad strokes here. When I'm using this, I'm not trying to convert you. I'm not trying to push religion on you. What I'm saying is these broad strokes of these messages are probably there. I'm going to prove it with Pete. 7 in the Bible, 7 trumpets going into heaven. 7 is huge. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. That's why Nicole thinks it'll be Hank, Darwin, and Pete that die possibly. And I'm like, oh, I hope not. But I knew going into this episode, anybody with a biblical name was safe. So Jacob, eventually down the line, he has his name changed to, I don't know if you've heard of this, Israel. And everybody descends from him. He took 2 wives, Rachel and Leah. One represents like the one that I wanted, this yada, yada, yada. Leah was the one he didn't want. Oh, and he worked for her dad for 7 years, trying to marry her sister. And he was like, yeah, no, I'll let you marry my daughter after you work for me for 7 years. And he does. And then he's like, no, you can marry Leah. And themes with Leah, like I said, I'm not talking about some incestuous weird thing between the characters in the show. Broad strokes here. Jacob symbolizes a lot with family. The younger brother surpassing the older brother. And Jacob is the epitome of like redemption. And I was acting like a snake in the grass for a very long time, but I'm still redeemed now because I changed my ways. I don't know if his really apply here, but cycles, things like that. But Leah, that wife, she represented like she didn't feel good enough. She felt inadequate. She felt like she could never be everything she wanted to be and didn't know how to convey it, like, because she was the one that wasn't wanted. So Leah felt like there's certain things that are represented here. And I will never forget the name of this person because in 2nd grade, I went to Catholic school. In 2nd grade, we had a whole test, everybody, from 1st to 6th graders, and we had to take like 100 questions, and it was just for fun. It was like you won a big prize, and it was just on Bible questions. And I couldn't remember Mary's dad's name. I came in 2nd. I was pissed. I was so pissed. But I could remember her mom's. It's Anne. And then I was saying on my Instagram story, if there's anybody that you really want there with you when you're having a baby or be there or help you deliver it, it would be your mom, right? Being the mother of Christ is kind of a big deal. This I didn't know though. Annie K, midwife, Saint Anne. Well, then I find out Saint Anne is the patron saint of women giving birth, not mothers, women giving birth. Okay. And I go, who do we got left? So I'm going through these names and I go, Peter. And I'm looking at all of them in a row and I go, what do they all have in common? Use your Game of Thrones brain, Abby. What do they all have in common? I go, Old Testament? No. New Testament? Definitely not. And then I go, wait. These ones over here, you guys almost got me. These ones over here are all technically a direct bloodline of Christ. Mary, her cousin, is Elizabeth. Okay, that would be Jesus' aunt. And then her son, John the Baptist, would be Jesus' cousin. If everybody descends from Jacob and Abraham, that would technically be his relative. If everybody comes from Eve, that would technically be his relative. Leah would be a relative. These would all be relatives. And then there was one that sat out, and that was Pete. And technically, are they related? Yeah, but I'm like, there isn't a thing there. But what Peter was his first disciple. Peter built the church on the rock of our faith. Peter built the first church. Peter was the one Jesus was like, I know you'll step to people physically. I know you'll step to people mentally. I know you have what it takes to carry on what I want in my message after I'm gone. And I'm trusting you with that. Peter. Is this sounding familiar? Are these broad stroke themes sounding familiar to anything? Okay, I'll keep going. But at first, I thought, oh shit, St. Peter's Cross. St. Peter's Cross is the upside down cross. A lot of people think that's satanic. It's not satanic, but a lot of people think it is. So I was like, I think people are going to think he's a negative, but he's not. And then I was like, but what if it's a wolf in sheep's clothing type thing? Things that relate to Peter, on the positive side, loyalty. I think somebody's pretty loyal here. And I was like, okay, what else does Peter do? But what are the negatives Peter does? Because those could factor in here. Like I said, the cunning snake side of Jacob, and who was acting like a little rat dick, and then gets redeemed. So it's like, which side of these themes are we playing with? And okay, so what are the negatives around Peter? And I go, well, he denies him. That's what Jesus tells him. So before he goes to meditate in the garden, and we'll come back to that, he goes to his boy Peter, and he says, you know you're going to deny me 3 times before the cock crows and all this shit. And he's like, I would never deny you. I would never deny you. I would never deny your teachings. I would never do that. Even if something happens, I wouldn't do that. And he goes, you are. It's going to happen. And I don't want you to feel bad about it, yada, yada, yada. Well, then Jesus goes into the garden. He's allowing himself to get arrested, right? This is where things get nuts. Jesus in the garden. Judas comes up. He told the Romans a minute ago that he would go and kiss the cheek of the one they need to arrest. So let's tie it back to The Godfather with Fredo and Michael. The Judas kiss. I'm betraying you. Is that why Rust Cole has a cross? A crucifix on his wall? Does Woody Harrelson look at him and go, Christian, right? And he goes, nope. And he goes, then why do you got a cross on your wall? He goes,
You're Christian, yeah?
No.
What do you got the cross for in your apartment?
It's a form of meditation.
How's that?
I contemplate the moment in the garden. The idea of allowing your own crucifixion.
But you're not a Christian, so what do you believe?
I believe that people shouldn't talk about this type of shit at work.
Hold on.
who's Jesus just chatting with? Peter. Peter, you're going to screw up, but you're going to have it down. You're going to be good. You got this. You're good. This is the story and the time that Rust Cole uses to meditate? Okay, Peter. I don't think you're so bad. I don't think we're going with the negative stuff. I don't think we're going to go with, like, you're going to deny what you are. You're going to deny, because I was like, oh shit, he's going to deny being a true detective. He's going to deny all this stuff. He was raised by a monster. He's a monster. No, he's a generational trauma-breaking king. I love him. It does. It ties right back. It ties right back to season 1, and I was like, oh my god. Shut the fuck up. I was like, stop it. Then it got even better. So over on the live after show, we're talking to the chat, and I'm like, what could silver? I think they're trying to throw us off with putting silver in the mining company's name because color is such a big, prevalent thing here. It always has been in this series. I think they're trying to throw us off. And then I say to Nicole, silver could be akin to gold, which could be yellow or king. So I'm like, maybe. An angel comes into the chat with, no. The 30 pieces of silver that the Romans paid Judas to betray Jesus. It's betrayal. It's betraying the land. It's betraying the natural order. And I was like, holy shit, there we go, boom. We didn't think the Catholic rabbit hole would do anything. And it did. And I was like, no, Pete is going to be the one to hold on to it. Pete is Peter. Peter built the church. He's going to run things when Danvers is gone. Now, here's where I'm worried. You have to remember this too. Peter is one of 2 disciples who was there when Jesus died. Everybody else was like in the crowd or whatever. But there was only 3 women. James's mother, his mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, the best, his best friend, first disciple Peter, and James. So Peter and James, they get into a bit of shit after Jesus dies down the road, okay? So Jesus is gone, raises back from the dead, goes to heaven. Down the road sometime, Peter and James get arrested by Herod, and James allows Peter to escape. He gets Peter out. So Peter gets out and goes. Pete. I'm thinking that Navarro might be taking the James role here a little bit. And this is why I'm worried that she might die and Danvers might die. There's always a Jesus figure in something with heroes. They die, they come back, they still want to unite people with love and peace and instead of war, but they will fight if they have to. But it's all about uniting people under love and dying and coming back and all that shit. Or Moses. It's always Jesus or Moses or Greek mythology. James gets Peter out. And then King Herod kills James. Beheads him in front of everybody. I'm not saying it's like a good death, but it's the first martyr. James is the first martyr. He died for this cause, and all you did was light a fire under people's asses to really want to fight for it even more now. Navarro kind of seems that way, and I'm like, shit. But I think what will happen is, and I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I personally think it's just going to be Danvers. But who was there with Jesus on either side of him while he passed away? James and Pete. And I think Danvers is going to pass away, and Pete and Navarro are going to be right by her side, and she's going to cross over to her husband and her son. Remember what Rust Cole says. I could feel them. I could feel my dad. I could feel my daughter. I could feel them. I could feel all their love. I could feel it. I would go with them. And that's what Jodie Foster is going to do, and that is the natural order of things. Staying alive forever is unnatural. Desecrating the land, hurting kids, that's unnatural. Unlike other characters like Jon Snow or Harry Potter, she's not going to die and come back to life. What she's going to do is have her next life. She's going to ascend. And she's going to be with her family, and it's going to be whole again. Or it'll be her and Navarro, but Navarro would die after Danvers passes. Because Danvers would blame herself. The way Navarro's going to die is if she, on her own terms. Or to get Pete out. I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't watch any of this podcast shit. Somebody was like, oh yeah, no, they talked about the numbers. I was like, did they? Did they talk about the numbers? Okay, well, I'm happy with MotorCityNerds. I'm on TikTok. I'm all the things down below. I'm sorry this took so long. I think me and Nicole are going to argue about the Dyatlov people later because I'm just like, I don't know about all that. But yeah, anyway.